Hello, my name is Cheyenne Schwinn, and I am a student here at Full Sail University. I am currently in the indie game design track, and I am working on Blades and Bullets for my capstone work. So I am in month 5 of my courses. This is January, so this is my first sprint. I am currently in class with Lascelles Adams. I'm sorry if I messed that up. I am an online and remote student from Illinois. My total work hours that I completed this sprint was 50 hours and 45 minutes, and my total hours that I completed within this month, as hours in total, would be 50. My monthly expected hours are 100, so I expect to finish the other 49 49 hours and 20 minutes, however much that is, of work within the next 2 weeks. My achievements, objectives, and issues for this this adventure here was that I did get back into working with Illustrator. I worked with Photoshop with the last people I was working with, but now I had to go back into Illustrator because I had to do some more specific kind of work. It wasn't so much I'd say like freehand design kind of work like the logo that I did before, but this one is currently using Illustrator, and I'm actually going to start using Photoshop for the next thing that I have to do. But I had to take on new content like story writing and editing for character and story designs, and I make my own books and stories already, but I haven't actually written character stories for video games, so that was a little interesting to get into that too. The objectives for this past week and for the next week, or these past 2 weeks and for the next 2 weeks, will be continuing on story design. I still have to talk to the project head and see how we're going to implement the sceneries that I'm going to be creating for the intro sequence, which would be for my sprint for week 3 and 4. And then as I start making more paintings and working with Photoshop and Illustrator, I'm hoping that my scenery paintings and my character design start to get more off of the stylized area that I work in, and abstract work that I work with, into the realistic and realization of like a real character or a real building. I want to start advancing my art to make it more realistic over the time that I'm working with Blades and Bullets, and for whatever crew I'm going to be working with in the future. So then I also had to finish drafting finalization for the intro scenes by the end of week 3. That is something that I am putting myself up to try to get those done within the week. So I can focus on whatever they need me to do for finalization of week 4, and where we're going to go with that. So then there wasn't actually any issues inside of working on the project. There was personal issues making time to actually have daily availability for scheduling, just because I work a whole full-time job. I come home at 5 o'clock, so I have to work from 5 until 10. So I'm basically working from 8 to 10 o'clock at night every single day. And I have to do my coursework on the weekend, so I really have no time to do anything. I guess that's the lovely part about being in college. College is your life for the next few months, actually, because I will be graduating, I think, in the end of September. But there wasn't a lot of issues. I guess just coming over like personal issues with timing and scheduling. And then there wasn't a lot of issues with Illustrator, but I did have to relearn. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. I did have to relearn something for Illustrator, and I'll talk about that in the next pane. So this is the first thing that I started on, the journal menu design. I created a journal and basically had tabs that were going to be for each character, and then just this is what it came out to be. I did this free-handed, just thought about like how a book looked, and then just went from there. I had to make drafts, and each one had adjustments. I changed the spine a little bit, and then I had to relearn how to do the Illustrator masks, because when you mask, you have to do it a certain way for it to actually go into the shape that you make, and then that's what you see in the bottom journal on number 4. That is the finalized piece, and you can see like in the clip there on the right page and in the tabs on the left page, that's the texture from the actual journal. So I had to remember or just research how to get that into those shapes for the tabs and that square that's on top of the clip. I did do a little bit of research to see if I could figure it out. I couldn't get exactly what I was looking for, but as I went through my old work that I've done in the past with Illustrator and worked on trying to just mess with it and see what worked, I finally figured it out, and it went ahead and did perfectly fine. So I was finally successful into getting what I was actually looking for the journal design and to make the tabs for the journal navigation. So then I also did in week 1 a map background design. I took a approved piece here and basically just added a border and added that compass up in the corner. That's a custom compass. I made it up myself. The second map has a little bit of a thicker border. I wanted that against having this just like gray shadow. It was supposed to be like a dark border and then a shadow, and it didn't come out like that when I exported it at first. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of a difference there, but there is. So I had to just adjust it a little bit and then export it a second time. So that was the finalized piece for the map background design. Is that right one there on number 2? During week 1 and 2, I worked on a inventory design concept. There was 2 concept templates that the project head gave me, and I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and make one of these and see how it can block out. So I blocked it out, and this is what ended up happening. There is design 1 on the left, design 2 on the right, and then we have a transparent example. The one that's not transparent basically just has a black, I think it was a black square over it, and then I turned the opacity down real well, so it was just like gray. Basically, I've noticed that a lot of games do transparent backgrounds now, especially if it's like a game where you can die in it. So I gave that example just in case if they wanted to use a transparent example, that basically would aid the player in seeing behind the inventory for when they're in hostile areas. So as you can see, that's transparent by the 2 purple circles there. It's a little darker because of that transparency, and then if it was looking outside of the transparent area, it'd be a brighter purple. So it's just showing you that that one's actually transparent. So basically I just came up with inventory design concepts, and I based my decisions on the templates that the project lead gave me. I did adjust a few things to make everything fit better on some of them, so it's not exactly what he gave, but I just messed with it a little bit just to see if I could fit things better, because it wasn't exactly fitting correctly, but it looks okay. I feel like I could have changed a few things a little bit, and I just noticed that second one would need that square on the upper right to be moved down a little tiny bit. I haven't worked with a lot of rulers, and again I said that I had to sort of relearn Illustrator because I mainly use Photoshop, so that was a little bit of a hassle, but not too much. So that's pretty much it on the the inventory design concepts. I'm not sure if we're going to be using them just because of the um, the time that we have to implement these. Um, I would also like to actually go in, and instead of just having blocks, like blocking out the spaces, I'd like to actually design something to be uh, around those, maybe make it more fantasy war looking, as the game is supposed to be. So we'll see how that goes depending on our capacity and our available time. So basically, here is some of the final work that I did for the journals and the character designs. I wrote all the biographies. I helped out with the names, figured out where these people would live. So basically, we got our main character, Eugene James. We got another character, Icarus, Lucas, and Marcus. All of their stories were on the pages. And then these areas are supposed to be for pictures. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that. I don't think we have a character designer. And I'm not very good with people and drawing people. I would have done actual people portraits for these characters, but as far as my skills go, a lot of it is scenery and more animals. I work with animals a little bit, but not as much realistic humans. So that's where I was wishing like that could be further on bettered in my or improved in my betterment of art and how I do in character designs. I took basically the journal asset and created the character pages with the photo border added, and then the tabs was made to have the pages turn left to right, but as I set this up, Marcus is actually going to be in the front because I'd rather have the character that the person is playing put his team first, because that's how he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be caring and would rather tell the people before him their stories before his own. So I did that on purpose to match Eugene's character. So then the basically the journal pages ended up telling the characters each character's backstory and how they would be involved in the war, and then later maybe the photos will be implemented, or maybe just like a picture of an item that has something to do with that character. We'll see how that goes and where it goes from there. So then, lastly, for week 2 and 3, at the end of this week, in the last few hours that I had to do, I did a mood board for myself. I found some fantasy pictures, some war pictures, some tank pictures, some scenery pictures. There's supposed to be possibly like, I think the idea was to show like what the world is, then sort of implement these weird looking creatures a little bit. Like, I'm not sure how exactly I'm gonna do it, but I basically made this to give myself help with concept making for these sceneries, and I plan to basically do 2 to 4 drafts for each scene, and figuring out dialogue for each scene would probably help. So I'm going to be talking to the project lead on that to see if we can figure out what we're going to say, or if we're just going to show and not say, sort of like a silent kind of movie kind of thing. So we'll see where that goes, but I did do some image hunting and just gave myself something to kind of conceptualize what I'm looking for. So there's magic, there's sorcery, there's interesting things in this world, there's war, there's there's things that need to be addressed, there's beauty, and I think this is a pretty decent mood board, because right when I started it, I started getting images and pictures and ideas. So I always like to make mood boards to help me actually visualize what I'm going to be making. So that is it for what I have done in the week 1 and 2 of my sprint for January with working with Blades and Bullets. My information is here. I have my LinkedIn, my Mastery Journal portfolio, which has more of my work on it. My personal portfolio, which is actually a website that I created myself under a screen name brand, with a bunch of my art and photography and other designs that I've done in the past. And then I got my own YouTube channel. I do a bunch of different things. I put art on there, school videos, gaming videos, and my recommended playlist for school specifically would be the school videos and project playlist. That is basically just all of the stuff that I've done since I was in my bachelor's degree. So that is it. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a really good day.